This minister calls her stupid, but you have to listen till the end. So good.
Called down to the front desk and I told that young girl at the counter, I said, hey, my room has no running water. She said, I know. And when she said, I know, that ticked me off. I said, what do you mean you know? She said, well, I can't explain it, but it's the only room in the whole place with no running water. I said, young lady, to call you stupid would be to defame the word. I said, you owe your mother an apology for the day you were born. And I just laid her. The words just kept coming. I sat in the seat of the scornful big time. Finally, after a couple minutes, I said, you still there? She said, yeah, I'm still here. I said, you got anything to say? She said, well, since you asked, I got one thing to say. I said, what's that? She said, I go to a Bible college where you come preach every year. I said, hey, you knew I was kidding, right? I mean, I don't need water. Who needs water? She said, Brother Gibbs, I don't have hardly any money, but I pray for your ministry every day, and every month I send a few dollars because I believe in what you're doing. And she started sobbing. She said, I'm so sorry I failed you. I went down to that front desk, literally got on my knees. And I said, listen, what I did to you, I'd never want somebody to do to my wife or daughter. I broke God's heart. I sinned. She said, no, it was my fault. No, I said, it is not your fault. By the way, it doesn't matter what someone else has done. You're to command with love, and your speech is to be always with grace. Those are Bible commands. About a year later, I'm at her home church, and I met her pastor. And he said, you know, a girl in our church said she met you at a motel where she was working. I said, how about that? I mean, you know, sometimes you just try to play stupid, right? Let me see if I can just get out of this. I said, what'd she tell you? Well, just how much she loves you and how she loves praying for you. I said, that's all she said? He said, yeah. I said, preacher, let me tell you what I did to her. And I told him the whole story. She didn't tell you any of that? He said, no. He said, Brother Gibbs, when you told her you owe your mother an apology for the day you were born, she doesn't know who her mother is. She has no idea what her birthday is. She doesn't know who her mother or father are. They found her in a... She has nothing except Jesus. And she never complains. I said, Pastor, I want what she's got. What does it take to make you? What does it take to make me? Sometimes it's just rush hour traffic and we're often griping. Sometimes we're watching something on TV and we're often griping. And by the way, be careful where you put your eyes and ears. I don't care what you're watching, which news outlet. They're all griping. And they want you to gripe and be upset about what they're upset about.
Doesn't that make you want to be more careful? No, it does me. Subscribe or follow for more.